Do y'all remember that one episode of Futurama that had the super depressing montage of Fry's dog waiting for him to return, showcasing its loyalty and unwillingness to disobey its final command to wait for his master's return? Well, what if I told you that there's an anime airing this season that captures that same bittersweet feeling, but with more robots, waifus, and shampoo hats? Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Apocalypse Hotel in this video. So, Apocalypse Hotel. This is an original anime produced by Cyber Agent and animated by Cygames Pictures. And you know, I wanted to make a highlight video talking about it because this is easily my favorite anime of the season, and low-key one of my favorite anime that I've watched in a minute, I guess. There's a certain charm to this series that I think may go unnoticed or unappreciated by a lot of people, and I want to make sure that this anime and others like it get the flowers that they deserve. Also, people be saying that I do too much reaction content these days and I need to go back to highlight videos like this, so here you go. That's what this is. But yeah, let's start off with a little spoiler-free synopsis. In a scenario that is unfortunately becoming less and less sci-fi, humanity is forced to flee Earth after a deadly disease only affecting primates spreads throughout the planet. That one hits a little close to home, no? And so, all that's left of human civilization on Earth is the staff of the Gingaro Hotel in Japan. They're all a bunch of autonomous robots led by the android concierge, Yachio. The show depicts them going about their meticulous day-to-day routine of keeping the hotel in pristine condition, even centuries after humanity's departure, in the hopes that one day they'll return, and that the hotel will once again have guests to serve. So yeah, that's the idea behind the anime. Already a pretty unique premise, no? Except not really, because this is something that we've seen a lot in sci-fi. From WALL-E to that one episode of Love, Death, and Robots, the idea of robots being left behind in a post-human world has become a pretty popular trope, and let me tell y'all, can't get enough of stuff like this. I'm a pretty sentimental guy, to be honest. I think a lot about the passage of time and how things get old or change or wither away. As I get older and closer to being in my 50s, I think more and more about big picture stuff. Like how small the human era has been in the grand scale of Earth's history. So when I see stories like this where sentient beings after us reminisce on our civilization with either reverence or disdain, you know, it really hits a spot for me. It's easy to think that the future is endless when you're younger, but when you hit my age, it quickly becomes clear that all things eventually come to an end. But you know, that doesn't have to be a depressing thought. It can, of course, be approached with a bit of levity, like how it is here in Apocalypse Hotel. So yeah, now let's get to talking about the anime in detail, so end of the non-spoiler section. You've been warned, that's it. Okay, so the concierge Yachio can be considered the main character of this anime, if that even applies here. So let's talk about her, yeah? I mean, that's the title of the video, so I can't be out here clickbaiting, right? I would never do that. I think Yachio is the pinnacle of the trope of non-human character who is actually more human than any of us. To make a comparison, she's like 2B from Nier Automata. I don't want to spoil that game, so I'll leave it at that. If you know, you know. Yachio runs a tight ship at the Gingaro Hotel. Even a century after humans left Earth, she keeps the same schedule, holds regular team meetings with her staff of lovable, charming robots, and just keeps chugging along with the expectation that humans will be back any day now. There's nothing more endearing to me than a character who really just does their best in the most earnest and wholesome way possible. Because you see, Yachio is like a perfectionist. She has everything in the hotel cataloged to the last detail, which leads to one of the most comedic scenes in the early episodes with the whole shampoo hat debacle.
Nuts!
But she also has her empathetic side, as she cares a lot about her staff. You can see this through how she looks out for the doorman robot. Now, even if you didn't have the whole post-apocalyptic angle, I think it would still be entertaining to watch Yachio and her staff go about the day-to-day operations of the hotel. Even if she was just a regular human and not an android, I think the way that her character is written is so charming and likable that she could just carry a normal hotel slice-of-life show on her own. But that's not the case here, because Apocalypse Hotel is, in fact, a post-apocalyptic show, and that means some weird stuff goes down. At the end of the first episode, the Gingaro Hotel gets its first guest in decades, and everyone is super hyped about it. But surprise, surprise, it's not a human, it's this flubber-looking alien. Do kids these days still remember Robin Williams and Flubber? And so Yachio and the staff welcome their new guest with open arms and aim to show the alien the full hospitality of their hotel. So now this leads into another aspect of why I think this anime anime is so good. The aliens that show up to the hotel obviously have a culture that's completely different from Earth's. And yet, Yachio and the other robots have been trained on tradition that stems from human hospitality practices. So already there's a conflict there, but that doesn't mean they can't adapt and improvise, right? I mean, it's literally in their 10 commandments.
一つ、伝統に革新と遊び心を。
So we have this amazing dynamic of showing how human tradition that seems so familiar to us can clash with foreign culture. Obviously, reading a little bit deeper into this is a metaphor of how to get along with people who are different from you. But again, this shows the humanity of these robots because they're able to adjust and make accommodations, which, I mean, I don't need to tell y'all, but even real human beings have trouble doing that. Later on in the show, we get more extraterrestrial guests in the form of this tanuki-looking alien family. They come in disguised as humans, but eventually reveal their true forms. Just like before, Yachio and the crew take them in and treat them like any other guests, but it turns out that their cultural practices are even wilder than any of them could have expected. Yeah. That's actual raccoon dookie on the screen. And here, I think the anime shows both its heart and comedic timing with the antics of this weird alien family. They clearly overstay their welcome, but after a light admonishing from Yachio, they ultimately end up helping out around the hotel. So, I mean, yeah, the show is funny. It's got sharp, snappy, witty humor, a lot of physical comedy, some good running gags, and just some absurd, goofy stuff that's just so entertaining to watch. That alone makes for a pretty solid show, but there's one more layer here that we need to talk about. It's kind of been hinted at throughout the video, and I'm sure anyone watching this show could come to this conclusion. But when the Tanuki aliens show up, they reveal that they've learned about Earth and its customs from the remains of a human spaceship they found floating in Earth's orbit. Yachio gets excited at this as she believes that this means that humans are still out there and will return soon. But the Tanuki aliens, not wanting to disappoint her, leave out the fact that there were only dead bodies on the ship. Though it hasn't been confirmed with the episodes that are out, it's heavily implied that humanity has either died out in space or is so far beyond reach that they will never be coming back to Earth. We can see this with another robot that's introduced, the environmental checker. He's been monitoring Earth for decades to see if it's safe for humanity's return and has been regularly sending reports out into space to no response. So this brings things back full circle to what I originally mentioned about the passage of time and the idea that all things come to an end. For all the charm, comedy, and absurdity, there's an overbearing sense of melancholy in the Apocalypse Hotel. For every laugh, there's that feeling in the back of your head as a viewer that this is all for naught. All of Yachio's diligence, her long-standing loyalty, all of which form the basis of the show, are directed at the humans who are never coming back for her. And for me, this is what takes Apocalypse Hotel from good to great. It says a lot about the finite nature of our species, but it also shows that human nature, or even the human spirit, may live on long after we're gone. You can see it in Yachio and the robots, and even the aliens who are so much like us, yet not constrained to live for, 70, 80 years and then die. All of that is interesting to think about on its own, but the way Apocalypse Hotel frames it makes it so much more interesting than just some random thought experiment that you come up with when you're on acid. Like I said before, the main appeals of the show for, I guess, a general audience would be the charm, the comedy, and the fun characters. But again, there's always that elephant in the room, the lingering thought that this whole premise is way more depressing than we realize. You get a sharp reminder every time you see Yachio jotting down her notes after each day. She details her hopes of humanity's return, and you as a viewer are hit with the reminder, oh, I was just laughing and having a good old time a second ago, but man, this is actually kind of a sad situation. But you don't really want to think about that. You just want to enjoy the lovable antics of the cast. Just like how Yachio probably doesn't want to think about the reality of humanity's demise. She just wants to focus on making the Gingaro Hotel the best it can be. And it's that contrast and that feeling that it creates that makes this anime so good. Now, mind you, the anime isn't over yet. They could have humanity actually come back at the end, which I think would be absolutely terrible, but who knows. Y'all know I have a track record of getting really excited about anime originals only to have them let me down. But I still think you should go watch Apocalypse Hotel even with the few episodes that are out right now, at least when I'm making this video. It's my anime of the season so far, and definitely a contender for anime of the year if the rest of the episodes turn out well. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment below which robot is your favorite. Mine, of course, is Flycatcher Robot. Also, hit up Patreon if you want. You can follow for free, or you can donate a bit of money and get access to full-length, uncut reactions to a bunch of shows that I'm watching. Well, I say a bunch. Right now, it's mainly Arcane, but, there'll be other stuff. Otherwise, that's the video. Peace. Oh yeah, the opening. It's pretty good, but to give you some perspective, I've seen this fan theory that the dance Yachio is doing was actually meant for 2 people. She's doing it solo in the opening with the implication that this was a dance she used to perform with perhaps the old owner of the hotel. Have fun not getting depressed over that little tidbit.